An ex-Amazon vice president speaks, ex-AWS to be exact, vice president speaks on performance improvement plans and Amazon stack ranking. All right. I actually watched the full video earlier this week and I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. I wanted to review parts of it and I will drop the full video in the description of this video, as well as when I clip it up, you'll get it in that one as well. But it was really, really interesting how he broke down him coming up through the ranks from different companies and how he got into Amazon and how like pretty much everything went down, right? So I want to watch that with you today, and then we shall talk about it, right? So let's go over to here and here. And what is it? I forgot the guy's name. He'll probably say it in the video, right? But this was on the Peterman Pod Clips, or I guess Peterman Podcast, which would be, can't highlight it, but the guy on the right or on the left, and the ex-Amazon manager, ex-Amazon VP is the guy with the white hair on the right, closer to me. All right, so let's watch it. Let's start watching. I'll be pausing in between to give some commentary, because I referenced to this video, maybe to the full video in the candid conversations that we're going to be having tomorrow, because what he was saying actually made me rethink some positions that I had in the past. Like it made me enhance them, not necessarily go away from them, but kind of enhance what I was thinking before and how to navigate and how to strategize when dealing with the upper management. All right. And even with your manager. All right. So let's start it off and see what's going on.
With your tenure as a manager at Amazon, I kind of wanted to talk about management practices like stack ranking, performance-based layoffs, PIPs, those types of things. So I'm curious, Amazon's pretty famous for stack ranking and, really aggressively managing people out.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on these types of systems?
About 10 years ago, Amazon.
So before he breaks down his thoughts on stack ranking, what exactly is stack ranking? Well, let's find out first. Let's find out what is stack ranking. We're going to go to chat and we're going to go to say, I am watching a video about from a video interviewing an ex Amazon AWS VP in engineering, and he mentioned how Amazon does stack ranking. Can you explain in an easy to understand way what is stack ranking? So it's important to, because this is what he's going to be talking about is very, very important, but it's also necessary for you to understand what exactly is stack ranking, so that once he's explaining it, you can understand the context and and how it works, right? So let me zoom in on this a little bit. All right, so let's see. Here is an easy to understand explanation of stack ranking. In short, stack ranking is a performance review system where you are graded against your teammates, not against fixed goals. So you are now, when I was listening to this, I didn't see it like this, but if they were ranking you against your coworkers, then they're technically making you compete against each other. That's interesting. It says, imagine your manager has a team of 10 people. In a normal review, the manager could say, everyone did a great job and met their goals, so everyone is getting a high rating. In stack ranking, also called force ranking, the company forces the manager to grade on a curve. They might be told the top two people must be rated as top performers, the middle 7 must be rated as average, and the bottom 1 person must be rated as a low performer. So what's the point? The theory behind it is to rank and yank. Reward the top 20 get the biggest bonuses, stock options, and promotions. manage out the bottom. The bottom 10% are often put on a performance improvement plan, a PIP, and are the first to be let go if they don't improve quickly. And what he's going to tell you in this video is going to blow your mind around PIPs. Right? This forces managers to make tough decisions and prevent grade inflation, where everyone is told they're doing great. I see pros and cons. There are pros and cons to this, I can see. So Amazon's version. As the VP you're watching probably mentioned, Amazon is famous for this system, though they often use internal names for it. The cutthroat culture. It's a major reason you hear stories about Amazon's competitive and sometimes toxic or cutthroat work environment. The problem, even if you're on a dream team of 10 superstars, the manager is still forced to pick one of them to be the bottom of the list. The justification, Amazon's leadership has historically believed this is how they maintain an extremely high bar for talent. They want to constantly raise the bar by trimming the bottom performers and rewarding the very best. But it does sound toxic, but even if you're the bottom, this might be a stretch, but is it possible that the bottom rank at Amazon might be the top rank at a smaller company? But you don't get that name recognition. Say, I work at Amazon. I work at Amazon. I had lunch with Jeff Bezos. Right? This system is controversial because critics argue it kills teamwork. Why would I help you if I'm ranked against you? And punishes good employees who just happen to be on a great team. This is the one that we're watching, the interview with Ethan Evans. That's the one that we're talking about. Okay, cool. So let's go back to the video, right? But I will say this. I understand it, but it is kind of messed up to be put against the people that you work with, all right? So anyways, let's get back to the video.
Ran an experiment where after getting years of bad press for stack ranking, they removed what was called the unregretted attrition goal. So Amazon has a goal every year for what they call unregretted attrition, which means people, it's a nice way of saying people we want to leave. And we don't care if you pressure them into quitting or they get fired. It's just there's a number and you put people on a list of folks you want out, and you can either improve their performance to where you take them off the list, they can quit, or you can fire them. But you have to hit a goal, and it's usually like 7% a year. Sometimes it's as low as 4, sometimes it's as much as 7. Amazon.
That is a crazy goal. But here's the thing, because this is a VP who's speaking. How do you know that your company doesn't secretly have those practices as well? Or how do you know there's not already a list that gets updated for if times get hard, who's the first on the proverbial kill list? That's why, for me, I'm always like 24/7, 365. I'm working. I'm strategizing. Right?
Uses lots of words to kind of cloak this process, but the bottom line is it's fire the bottom 5% or so. Here's the thing. When we remove the goal, managers immediately stop having hard conversations and talking to their struggling performers, because without the pressure of having to do it, it was just easier to focus on your good people and let that problem person hang around, because it's not, in a big company, it's not costing your burn rate that you know about or care about, and you don't have to have that unpleasant conversation, and you also don't have to be the bad guy. One of the
that part right there, I was like, I see the point. And it sucks because this is why it sucks, right? Because the managers might not be like, they don't want that confrontation. They don't want to have to tell somebody they're doing bad. So now upper management has to put these processes in place to wrangle in the managers, because then that starts, and that affects the employees. So because you don't want to have a tough conversation with your employee, now upper management has to say, well, we need to have this 5% kill list. That's rough. That is rough.
worst things about being a manager is you may have someone who isn't very good, but is well liked. They're friendly, they are outgoing, they bring donuts, they organize the parties, everybody likes them. And so now you have to not only have a hard conversation with them, but if you do move them out, or if they talk to other people like, Ethan's trying to fire me, then everybody's like, why are you trying to fire Ryan? He's awesome. We love him. Well, it may be that, you have lots of performance problems, but other people aren't seeing those. So when we remove the goal, people stop having the hard conversation.
He is right. As crappy as the process sounds, and knowing that there's a list and that every year we have to get rid of all right, let's be fair though. And here's the tough part, because you can have an elite team and you have to get rid of a great person. But the question is, should companies always be looking to get better and removing people who they believe are not contributing but then there's always going to be somebody who's not contributing as much, right? That's a tricky dynamic. I understand what he's saying, but the execution of it, that's crazy.
So the next year, Amazon put it back, and it's kept it every year since. So on the one hand, many managers avoid actually performance managing if they're not forced at gunpoint. An unfortunate truth. On the other hand, because there's a list and because there's a goal, you would then be in a situation where someone who had a chance to succeed, maybe, you had to put on the list to make your quota, and you ask how well the PIPs were. I think most PIPs are a combination of dishonest and or psychologically unrealistic. Because once I've decided that I'm going to put you on this list, or once I've decided you're enough of a problem that I need to write up this plan and have this ugly conversation with you, mentally I've already moved to, we have to get rid of Ethan, right? We have to get rid of Ryan. They're not good. Recovering, it sort of doesn't matter what you do unless it's amazing. I've already decided. And so my cognitive bias is going to be self-fulfilling. So what I recommend, this has happened. I coach people. I have had half a dozen people reach out to me for coaching and say, I was just put on a PIP at Amazon. I really want to succeed. Help me. And I've tried, and they've all gotten fired. And so now when people call me, this is funny, they call me and they say, I'm on a PIP. And I'm like, so what you need to do is spend that time on the PIP looking for your next job because you're going to be fired. And they're like, no.
And I remember I used to have this conversation with your car back in the days about the PIP, and what this guy is saying is right. Once you're on the PIP, you're pretty much fired, right? However, in rare instances, you might be able to recover, but here is my updated 2025 going to 2026 advice for all you PIPers, for all you who are on a PIP, right? I would say work like hell to not necessarily get off the PIP. I mean, the goal would be hopefully to get off the PIP. But the problem is, even if you get off the PIP, right, you still have that stench, that stigma of, that's the guy that was on the PIP. That's the gal that was on the PIP. So now you just climbed out of being on the bottom to being on the baseline. But the reason I say work like hell to get off the PIP, because in that time, it is going to start to train you and prepare you for your next role, where if you had worked the way that you're working now, you wouldn't have been on the PIP in the first place. So now you are in detention. You're in solitary confinement, so that you can actually get prepared for when you're released and you're a free agent and you have to go. So start looking for a new job while you're on that PIP. But you need to actually fix the reason that you got onto that PIP in the first place. So even if the likelihood is very high that you're going to get fired anyways, you should still, because I've seen people get on a PIP and then like a week or two later, then they're out of there. It's supposed to be a 90-day PIP. They can't last in 2 weeks. But use it to somewhat of your advantage, right? You put yourself in that situation. Now you need to take advantage, like not take advantage, but you need to like do whatever it is that they're telling you to do so you can get better for the future, for your next role, because if they ask you, oh, what happened at Amazon? Are you going to tell them, well, I was on a PIP and I couldn't make it? You have to write your own story, okay?
oh no, I'm going to overcome it. And I'm like, good luck with that. Tell me what happens. And 3 months later, I get a note that says, you were right, I was fired. And the reason I state both people I coach and people I don't is, of course, you could just back, well, maybe I'm a lousy coach and I didn't dig them out of the hole. But the people I didn't coach got fired too. It's a like once you're at that stage, it's gonna happen. Very few people ever dig out of them. Now, I believe some managers in their minds start a PIP with honest, good intention. But at least at Amazon, you have your HR business partner and your boss asking you all the time, how's it going? When are we gonna exit that person? I need them on my quota. You know, if you actually wanna take someone off a PIP, more than likely, your manager is going to be saying, well, who else are you gonna put on? Because we still have to meet the number. So you're looking around and you're like, well, I put the lowest performing person on my team on, and now I'm being told if I take them off of PIP, I have to put somebody else on. So of course you're like, well, so the conclusion is companies stink at performance management. They don't train managers how to do it. They don't train managers how to have the conversation early.
I don't really think any company has a good performance management or a way. Is there a way to train performance management? And I don't want to say this, but I don't want to say this, but is it even worth to put people on a PIP at this point? Is it worth it? Because even if they change drastically, and he's telling you, right, when they go on this PIP, it's like a very, very long. You ever been to the airport before? You're flying, and depending on the size of the airport, you might have those little walkways where it's just how would I call this thing? It's like, it's not an escalator because it's flat, but it's just, you stand on it and it just takes you across, and most people walk through it anyways. It's just a long way to the exit. But I still believe that you should take that time to figure out what you did wrong so that you don't make that same mistake again. I'm going to break down tomorrow in the video about promotions, about chasing promotions, on how you might find yourself on a PIP.
They don't create a system where you can talk to people and say, you know, this isn't working out. Maybe you want to leave, because that opens you up to a lawsuit. We just have a dysfunctional performance system.
In your writing, you wrote something that said, a manager can fire anyone they want, and HR is not there to protect you. I would have thought there's checks and balances to this. That is not true. I guess I would hope that it's not true. What is stopping a manager from painting their report in an unfair light? Or is there nothing stopping that?
I love that you call this out. I agree with what I wrote. The nuance is, as a manager, I could get rid of any one employee I wanted, but I can't get rid of every employee. And so if I create a pattern where I'm driving one employee after another out, I will eventually get caught and burned for that. Because we do look at what is a manager's turnover rate. My point was, for any single employee, I can absolutely, if I choose to, end that person's career at my company. And at Amazon, it's as simple as put them on this list. It's partly who strikes first. So by the time you go to HR, I've already put you on this list and told my story of why I think you're bad. And now you're going, no, it's unfair. He hates me. Well, the problem is all the people they've heard from who are legitimately bad are saying the same thing. Right? They're saying, no, I'm actually good. It's my boss hates me and doesn't understand me. So they hear that story every day. So when you legitimately tell it and it's actually true and it's just, I hate you, you end up sounding like everyone else. And so that's why it's stacked in my favor. Now, I have never done this, but I've looked at the system and just seen, I have people all the time who say, well, my boss told a lie about me. Well, again, it's your word versus mine, and I'm the one who's got the higher level, maybe the more tenure. If I choose to say, well, you know, Ryan looks really busy, but he's mostly just doing pull requests on other people's code, I can downplay what you're doing. Because see, I can tell this story of Ryan is an amazing engineer. He makes everybody's code better because he does all these insightful reviews and he's up-leveling the whole team. That's narrative one. Same facts. He did 700 pull requests this quarter or whatever. Narrative two is, you know, Ryan actually doesn't contribute much. He thinks he does, and he spends all this time doing code reviews, but look at how little he's actually written himself. And really, he's just busy nitpicking people and churning away. And sure, his numbers look good, but those numbers are actually a sign of the problem. Now, I take.
And as they say, history is always written by the victors. Do you see how he easily spent 2 the same exact thing being done, he spun it in a good light and he spun it in a bad light. What is that?
In your same performance and spun it two ways. My point that people aren't going to like is a manager can do that. And maybe they're doing that because they're a jerk and they've decided you threaten them and they want to get rid of you. Maybe they just have a different view. You think you're doing really valuable stuff and they don't. And they're saying what they honestly believe. But the point is, performance that you would think is really easy to measure, like look at these numbers, look how many valuable code reviews I did, can be used either way. Nothing about software engineering performance is so objective. And so bad managers, truly bad or evil managers, do get caught eventually, but clever managers who just want to get rid of one person would be able to do that because they're in the driver's seat, and more importantly, they get to make the preemptive strike. They get to tell the story about why that person's a problem before that person ever knows it's happening. And so it's kind of like, yes, you can slap the mosquito after it bites you, but it doesn't take away being bitten.
I mean, it's unfortunate that that's true, but it also illustrates the power of storytelling in a way. The exact same facts can be spun as a bad thing or
That's just what I was saying, right? Like the same exact information, the facts, right? Facts don't care about your feelings. But you know what? You know what doesn't care about the facts? The way that you tell the story. The way that you spin the narrative.
a good thing. So
people are going to hear this and believe like, oh, see, managers are just like personally firing people because they hate them. I am sure that happens. It's not in a manager's best interest. They're judged on accomplishing their goals. Good managers are trying to find partners they can work with that will help everyone achieve. I just want to be honest that if you do have a difficult boss and you make them angry and they're a vindictive sort of person, beware, they hold, like you're bringing a knife to a gunfight. They're the one with the gun and you're probably going to lose. If you have a boss like that, don't get in the knife or gunfight. Either figure out what you can allow you to make friends with them or find a different manager. That's the actual point. Don't think that somehow HR is going to come investigate and rescue you.
I agree. Like he's just sharing the information, right? We have to be strategic. We like at the beginning of the show, we were talking about wise as serpents, harmless as doves. You got to be strategic. You have to be a team player. Remember on Tuesday was it? We did the questionnaire about what type of team player are you? What am I? I came out with the achiever, right? You have to be very, very strategic in everything that you do. How you communicate with your coworkers. Because some people, they will straight up have a nasty attitude. And that destroys team morale, company morale. Companies are looking for a good fit as just as equally as you know how to do the work. Sometimes companies will go down on a little bit down on skill set because they know people can learn and get better so that they can have a good fit. Because more times than none, people leave, people quit, people get fired because they don't like their manager, they can't work with their team, all these different things. And it's not about the technicality of the job. So I'm always saying, be strategic, always looking to learn, always looking to solve problems, always looking to level up, always volunteering to help the team, continue to grow yourself, your progress as well. All right. But that is, I will post the full video in the description of this video so that you can watch the whole thing. It's about an hour long. It is very, very well worth it to see from a VP perspective how things go down. Because we can have that vision, that viewpoint, that vantage point from an employee perspective, from an individual contributor perspective, but to see it how, and he talks about promotions as well, which I piggybacked off that in tomorrow's video. But he talked about promotions.
Yeah. Tired of the same results. Tired of looking at the scoreboard and always being on the wrong side. Something's got to change. It starts now. Yeah. Woke up, tasted ash in my mouth, same four walls, staring at a life heading south. Bank account's a joke, looking like a typo. Stuck in a loop, a vicious cycle. Taking L's like they were complimentary. My whole existence felt elementary. Stuck in first gear, spinning wheels in the mud. Drowning my potential in a half-hearted flood.
Same excuses, different day. Promise I would change, then I look away. But the pain is staying just the same. Got heavier than the guilt, hotter than the flame.
Something snapped, a switch got flipped. Tore up the old plans, hit a whole damn script. Looked at rock bottom, said I ain't coming back. Time to build a new road, time to get on track.
I was done with the losing, done with the pain. Done with standing still in the pouring rain. Now it's focus, discipline, a brand new vision. Wrote a new life, made a new decision. No more looking back, the old me is dead. It's all about the hustle, all the steps ahead from the ground up. Watch the new man rise, yeah, I'm building my win right before their eyes.
The alarm clock rings, it's 5 a.m. Old me hit snooze, but I ain't him. Lace up the sneakers, pavements, my new priest. While the rest of the city still sleeping on the beach. Turning notifications off on the phone. Can't build an empire if you're never alone. Got my mind right, tunnel visions engaged. Felt like I was locked up, now I'm breaking the cage.
It's the small habits, stacking them tall. Reading to new pages before I even ball. Every rep in the gym, every dollar I save is another tombstone on my old self's grave. They say, man, you change, you ain't the same. You're damn right I'm not, I just rewrote the game. Focused on the mission, cut the static noise. Traded short-term fun for the long-term joy. I was done with the losing, done with the pain. Done with standing still in the pouring rain. Now it's focus, discipline, a brand new vision. Wrote a new life, made a new decision. No more looking back, the old me is dead. It's all about the hustle, all the steps ahead from the ground up. Watch the new man rises, yeah, I'm building my win right before their eyes.
And now the wins, man, are starting to stack. That opportunity I missed, I just got it back. The projects I quit, now the ship is live. The ideas in my head, now they're set to thrive. My whole circle's different, check the new crew. It's mentors and builders, people seeing it through. This ain't luck, this is crafted, this is by design. This is sweat equity, making what is mine.
The mirror looks different, see the fire in the gaze. No more fog, no more walking in the blurry days. Shit is chapter 2, the resurrection's begun. The old me lost the battle, but the new me won. This ain't just a phase, man, this is life change. Rearranged my whole world, stepped up to a new stage. Yeah, from zero to